Welcome to the Binge List. I am your host, Paul Chappell, and today we are continuing our recap and review of The Stand. First time I tackled this show, it was the first 3 episodes. This time I'm tackling episodes 4 through 6 that I just got finished watching it. I had a lot of problems with the show. I have a number of questions and complaints. But let's go through the plot points one by one before I get to my final verdict. The first of which is that the Boulder Free Zone Committee is meeting and is headed up by Mother Abigail's chosen 5. That is Stu Redman, Larry Underwood, Franny Goldsmith, Nick Andros, and Glenn Bateman. They decide to let Stu Redman be the primary speaker or spokesman. And here's the first question I have for this show. Why is Stu Redman chosen as the primary spokesman? They say, yes, he's more relatable for some reason. I don't know why that is. They don't really establish that in the other episodes before this. But yeah, he's supposed to be this everyman type. I guess he's supposed to be the hero. And once again, I don't know why he's interesting. They just haven't given me a reason to think this guy is somehow better than everybody else. In fact, they even say that Larry Underwood would be better speaking to people because he's a musician. He knows how to work crowds. And at some point during Stu Redman's presentation, Larry has to take over. Maybe it's the portrayal of James Marsden, the problem here. I don't know. Maybe they left out some details in the books that show us why this guy is just so much better than everybody, that everybody should be looking to him for leadership. Of course, Mother Abigail is the real leader. But let's move on from that. Minor note right there. The 5, they make a decision without Mother Abigail to send spies to look to see what Randall Flagg is doing in New Vegas. Now, here's another question I have. Why do they choose 2 women? And I feel like, once again, maybe this was a change from the book. I don't know. But why choose 2 women to be spies? One thing we know from post-apocalyptic environments is that women, they get raped. That's not to say a man could get raped, but it's more likely that a woman would get raped. Why send 2 women? They say at one point that they're sending... Now, they sent Dana Jurgens, Tom Cullen, and Judge Harris. Judge Harris is an older woman. They said, well, they felt more comfortable sending an older woman because she doesn't have 50 years of life left. Well, why are you sending Dana Jurgens? It doesn't make any sense. Furthermore, they send Tom Cullen, the only man, and let's just say he's mentally challenged. Why would you send a mentally challenged man as a spy? That didn't make too much sense to me. It actually ends up working out because Randall Flagg, I think he cannot detect this guy like he does Dana and Judge Harris because he is mentally challenged. I don't know if that's what they were implying, but it just seems to me like that was the situation. So, moving on. As all this going on, Lloyd and Nadine, they are scheming together. Lloyd comes across some dynamite at a ski slope that they use for, clearing avalanches. They're going to use this dynamite to kill the 5 when they come into a meeting. So there's all these things happening. We finally get a look at New Vegas, and it was kind of cool looking, I thought. Aesthetically, it was very pleasing. You're in a casino. There's people having sex in elevators. There's gay people having sex. There's straight people having sex. There's people doing drugs. It looks like a great party. I'm like, are they really trying to make it seem like these are the bad guys? I mean, it seems like what I would be doing if we were at the end of the world. I would be trying to have a party. I would be doing all kind of crazy stuff. I mean, there's no consequences. There's no police. I mean, why wouldn't you do what these people are doing? And then, of course, we get to the part in the show where they says, hey, oh yeah, by the way, they're also doing these gladiator fights. So I was like, okay, that's not so good. But the other stuff looked kind of great. I mean, compared to the Boulder Free Zone, full of all these boring people trying to get their lights on, in New Vegas, they just They're just having a grand old time. But here again, the world building didn't make a lot of sense. It is revealed in short order that Randall Flagg, second in command, this guy named Lloyd Henry, he is a cokehead. And my first thought was, why would you choose a cokehead as your second in command? Doesn't make a lot of sense. You're not going to get much work out of him if he's getting high all the time. And then there was the question of why have gladiator fights. I understand that Randall Flagg tells his people, the old society told you that violence and sex were wrong. Well, you can do anything you want here. But here's the problem. We've already revealed that the population is very small right now. 99.4% of all people have died, and you have very little manpower. You need manpower for things like, turning on the power, which they show that they're doing with the Hoover Dam. Randall Flagg has men setting that up. So why are you intentionally killing people in these gladiator fights? Isn't that a terrible misuse of your manpower? Doesn't make a lot of sense. They don't really go really deep into that. I don't know what type of people they're choosing for these gladiator fights. Are they just useless people? And it seems to me also that Tom Cullen would be ideal for a gladiator fight. He's this big, huge guy, and yet they choose him to pretty much take care of the bodies leaving the stadium. So I don't know. They just made some weird decisions when they went to New Vegas, and it just felt off to me. So I did something that I didn't think I was going to do. I actually went on some message boards on the internet where people are discussing the show, and I just read the comments of people who've actually read the books. And according to what I can see, that's the biggest deviation from the book is what they did with New Vegas. In the book, Randall Flagg's operation is more like a fascist type regime where, drug use isn't allowed. In fact, one of the things they did keep for the show is that Randall Flagg doesn't drink. He's like a teetotaler. He's drinking milk when he meets with Dana, because Dana actually infiltrates until she gets a meeting with Randall Flagg. And, that's kind of consistent with what we know of Hitler, because Hitler didn't drink either. It's kind of weird that some of the most evil people of all time, they're either vegetarians or teetotalers or what have you. So I thought that was consistent with what we know about fascist regimes. But at the same time, why did they make this deviation from the book? In the book, they were actually crucified people that were drug users, which makes a lot of sense in a fascist regime, because you won't, like I've already pointed out, you want that manpower. You want people to be efficient. I think when it comes down to it, just the aesthetics of it looked a lot better. I think trying to translate what New Vegas was in the book wouldn't have come out as the contrast wouldn't have been as stark with the free border zone. And free border zone has its own problems. It's pretty much a theocracy. Now, I've come to believe throughout my understanding of history that theocracies don't really do well. Anytime you follow somebody that thinks they have the will of God at their command, it really doesn't turn out very well. So I'm of the opinion I would probably, feel more comfortable in New Vegas. Of course, knowing what I know about Randall Flagg, maybe I wouldn't. And knowing that they do gladiator fights. So I don't really know where I would end up. It seems like both communities are a bad idea, if you get what I'm saying. Even though they do have a committee, and but I don't see any voting. I don't see any democracy. Maybe they should have kept some of those things from the book. So I actually think in this instance, Stephen King was probably right. But yeah, I don't know. What do I rate these episodes? It seems to me like if you have read these books, that you probably wouldn't like this series. As someone who hasn't read the series, I don't even like the series. So I don't think the changes they make necessarily made it better. So no, I don't recommend it at this point. They did have a new character introduced in the last episode played by Ezra Miller, the trash can man. And it was corny as hell. This character, and I understand this character is going to have a big role in the future plot, that so-called last stand that's supposed to happen between these two communities. So I'm not encouraged by Ezra Miller's portrayal. I thought was so over the top. My first thought when this character entered the picture was, how did this guy survive? Because he's just a wacko. He has no, I don't see any self-preservation skills in this guy. So I'm really concerned about where this series is going. I hear that the other adaptation done in the 90s wasn't so much better than this. So if that's true, I don't know what to say. It's obvious that they spent some money on this production. So it's discouraging that this is the best they could come up with. But yeah, that's about it. I look forward to watching the last 3 episodes, and I will let you know. I will give you my final recommendation. Maybe they can turn it around. I don't know. But I'm really down at this point. But that's all I got for today. I'd like to thank my subscribers. Encourage you. Hit that subscribe button. Give me a like. Give me a comment down below. Did I miss anything? Do you think that this does the book justice? Let me know in the comments. And ring that bell if you're already subscribed so you know when my next video drops. And I will see you when I see you. Thanks for watching.